Hello, students. Good evening, all. I hope you all are doing great. Welcome back to the live streaming of the daily news analysis of 22nd August 2022. And this is your educator, Prithviraj Singh, and we here at ClatPrep break these stories live, every evening, 5:30, 6:30 evening, right? So highly important for all the students preparing for the Clat examination, law entrance exams, UPSC, and all the government examinations. Let us begin with the session. On the very front page of the Hindu, there was an article about the Huawei, a company, a Chinese telecom company. Every evening, 5:30, 6:30 evening, right, to close down its operations in India. And most of its operations, exams, UPSC, and all the government examinations. Because of the threats that on the very front page of the Hindu, there was an article about it is Huawei facing income tax searches, and in fact, the government has also excluded it from the evening 5:30 trials. In this sense, closed down its operations to be a part of the 5G trials, and in this sense, it was out of the telecom market, all the government examinations. Because 5G is the new technology, so government has intentionally excluded it from the 5G trials. Huawei facing income tax searches. So because of this, in fact, the government and these decisions have come after the IT income tax searches and probes into the national security aspects. And Huawei, which is the Chinese telecom major, is deciding to cut down its research and development operations in India. So important 5G trial. Huawei it would be cutting down its operations in R&D facilities in India. Now you must understand that Huawei searches become has its office at Bangalore in the and Huawei, which is Chinese, and at present it employs around 3,500 employees. Development operations. It is a good step and important is doing well. But after the skirmishes at the line of cattle control, now you must understand that year 2020, when the ELA officers killed some of the Indian soldiers and housing employees around 3,500. The government of India, stopped its associations with all the Chinese facilities, including Huawei. So there are national security aspects which have been flagged by the Indian government, and a circular is being issued against the chief executive of Huawei Telecommunications, India's marketing operations, Lee Xiongwei. And the government of India, in fact, prevents him from traveling abroad with all the Chinese not be allowed to leave the country. So there are national security aspects that are flagged by the Indian government, and a circular is being non-compliant. Chief executive of Huawei. Now, in this, because of this reason, Huawei is young way and the government and in fact this order has placed formal restrictions on not be allowed collaborations by critically players. So now Huawei cannot run the government collaborations on compliant or universities or any startups or analytical firms. So Huawei has already moved and critical projects and China and has redeployed Indian features and not be allowed projects. So this is a major project, and and now Huawei cannot be allowed government 5G trials on compliant or universities or any startups or analytical firm. So this is at checking Chinese corporate influence in the web. And so a big news coming in the front of the newspaper, front page of the newspaper. Huawei dialing down R&D, and I hope it is allowed government 5G trials. Now, apart from Huawei, which is a telecom major, there are some startups, other Chinese telecom companies like ZTE, Vivo, Xiaomi, and so a big new Chinese company, branded official Huawei by dialing down and the IT department have searched many Chinese companies. Now, apart from Huawei, with Xiaomi, Oppo and ZTE, and by the chief of the Science Department and the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. And so it is a clampdown on the Chinese presence in India, and so there is huge balance in favor of China right? So therefore, these actions can harm or could harm Chinese interests. And by now in the year 2000, Huawei started its operations in India by investing $150 million to set up the research and development facility on 20 acres of land on the outskirts of Bangalore, right? So, and the company, has a good work culture, no doubt about that. It enjoys a good retention ratio, even in the pandemic days. So there are many people who have criticized this decision of the government because Huawei was doing 20 acres of land on the outskirts of Bangalore, which has employed more than 3,000 people in the company, and no doubt about that, it enjoys a good retention ratio. Even I hope this article is now pandemic data. Now moving to the next part on this screen. So now we know that Aadhaar voter ID linking project is an process. Huawei was the one of the important programs that the government took up. And in fact, to make it happen, they passed the election laws amendment bill in the year 2021. I mean, somewhere around the month of the winter session of 2021. Right? And it was passed by both the houses of parliament, and in fact, it became a law. Now, but the Union Law Minister Kiran Rijiju had made it very clear that this linking would be voluntary. Right? See, students, the government want to curb various malpractices which take place during elections. It was passed by both the houses. There are duplicate Aadhaar cards. There are forgery in the duplicate voter ID cards. Many people see students add multiple sites because of the multiple involvement. So this was the intention of the government behind actually linking Aadhaar and to take place voter ID, so that to actually eliminate any duplication and any such malpractices in the elections, right? Now, but the problem is that Aadhaar is not a mandatory document, and it has been again interpreted by the Supreme Court in this was the intention of the government. So, in the case of the year 2017, where right to privacy was being held as a integral part of right to life and liberty. And so, therefore, law minister said that the linking would be voluntary, right? Is not a mandatory document, and this would in turn extend better electoral services. But there are incidences, where it has been found that the electoral officer have forced the Aadhaar voters. So therefore, and in fact, there is a coercion also is being seen in this process where people are being forced to link their Aadhaar with the voter ID. There are incidences. Now, in fact, the government has introduced Form 6B to the registration of electoral rules 96 and they say that these forms make it compulsory for those who have Aadhaar to provide their Aadhaar numbers in order to vote. So they have tweaked the the electoral rules 1960 by inserting Form 6B, saying that these forms saying that it would be compulsory for the people to provide their Aadhaar and to link it those to the voter ID. In fact, it would be necessary for them to show their Aadhaar number in order to vote. Right? In this sense, somewhere the government is playing a double card, and in fact, the Election Commission of India started a campaign this August 1st for the voluntary compulsory entries with the voter ID. Although it is a voluntary campaign, but there are incidents where voter ID forced necessary for them to show their Aadhaar was being seen, where people are being warned by the booth officers and their Aadhaar voter ID would be cancelled if the linking is not done. Right? So this means they are being warned of their voter ID be cancelled if they are not, linking it with their voter ID card. Anyways, the Aadhaar numbers, the government believe this linking would streamline the electoral rolls and the process of registration of migrated voters without duplication in these rolls, and to curb the menace of multiple enrollment of the same person in different places. As I mentioned, that the same person is being enrolled in multiple places, in different places, right? And to curb this practice, the government is, linking the voter ID with Aadhaar. But definitely, as I said, that there are violations of the individual's right to privacy, and in fact, the government, it may result in the creation of voter profiles which may be used to influence the voting process. So this is an important article, and in the mocks also voter ID with Aadhaar, we had this passage in the month of December 2021 about election laws amendment 2021, and in fact I described explained the passage, and in fact solved all the questions related to it. An important article, and moving ahead, for students, recently a new there are controversies which have been popped up around the Nepal's new citizenship law. Now we must understand, in fact, there are two facts. First, about the Nepal president, who is Vidya Devi Bhandari. And in fact, Vidya Devi Bhandari is the first female president of Nepal. Right. There are Vidya Devi Bhandari being the first female president of Nepal. And now, the Prime Minister of Nepal is Bahadur Deuba. There are two important takeaways. Now, the name of the lower house of the Nepal Parliament is called as Pratinidhi Sabha. Right. Now, we must understand that Nepal was a monarchy till 2006, and with the fall of monarchy in 2006, subsequent elections took place, and it led to the formation of Maoist government in the year 2008. Right. Now, post 2008, there emerged a multi-party system, and in fact, the constitution project, draft constitution project, started, and that constitution was adopted, on September 20th, 2015, and it led to the formation of Maoist. Now, all the Nepalese citizens born before this date, that means before September 20, 2015, when the new constitution was adopted, got the naturalized citizenship project, but their children, remained without citizenship. Right? So all those who were there in Nepal, the Nepalese citizens born before this date, right, before 2015, September 20, got the naturalized citizenship, and automatically but those who were born after the cutoff date of September 20, 2015, that means their children, they remained without citizenship, as that was to be guided by a federal law which is not yet been framed. Right? So the law for citizenship was not yet framed, right? And therefore they became stateless youth. Right? But those were born now. What are the issues with the act? Now we must understand that the Citizenship Amendment Act 2006 is being recently sent back by the president of Nepal, Vidya Devi Bhandari, on August 16, right? Citizenship 5-6 days back, and then she sent back the Citizenship Amendment Act 2006 to the Pratinidhi Sabha, urging the members to reconsider the act. What are the issues with the act? Now, ahead of the election season, this clash between recently and the Pratinidhi Sabha has ignited a heated debate over the question of citizenship in Nepal. Right. So therefore, we must have an understanding, broad understanding of the citizenship laws in Nepal, and how the Citizenship Amendment Act 2006 is being plagued with gender disparity season. This now, in the Citizenship Amendment Act 2006, there are articles like Article 11, Clause Article 11, Clause 2B. They say that a person is born to a father and or a mother with the Nepalese citizenship is a child who is being born out of a Nepali father or Nepali mother, gets the citizenship, Nepalese citizenship by descent, right? So that is something which is something which is very clear that if you are born out in the Nepal, if a Nepali child is being born out of the Nepali father or Nepali mother, then he or she would automatically become a Nepali citizen by the citizenship by descent, right? Then you have Article 11, Clause 5. This says that a person who is born to a Nepalese mother, something who has lived in the country and an unidentified father, that will also get citizenship by descent, right? Now here there is ambiguity and there is a problem associated by the word unidentified father, right? So in this sense, if a child is born out of the Nepalese mother but an unidentified father, will also get citizenship by descent, right? So this section appears humiliating for a mother as she has to declare that her husband is unidentified for the child, to be eligible for citizenship, right? So that means the mother has to declare that her husband is unidentified for the child to be eligible for citizenship, right? In case of a Nepalese father, such declarations are not required, right? So there is an anomaly in this. The third aspect is Article 11, Clause 7. This says that a child born to a Nepalese mother, and a father for citizenship, holding a foreign citizenship, the mother has to declare that can get naturalized citizenship in accordance with the laws of Nepal to be eligible for citizenship, right? This actually appears to follow Article 11 required, right? Clause 2b, right? Are you getting my point? In this sense, Article 11, Clause 7 says that if a child who is born to a Nepalese mother and a father holding a foreign citizenship. Now here there is a glitch because there is too much laws of Nepal of proof for lies on the mother, right? So she has to be Nepali citizen or Nepalese mother, and a father, if he's holding a foreign citizenship, can get a naturalized citizenship in accordance with the laws of Nepal, right? But then this goes contradictory Article 11, Clause 2b, because in 11 Clause 2b, 11 2b says that a person who is born to father or a mother with Nepalese citizenship can get citizenship by descent, right? But here, even if it is a Nepalese mother but a father with foreign citizenship, he or she can get the citizenship by naturalized citizenship, right? And it faces the condition of permanent residency on the mother, right? So the condition of permanent residency is being placed on the mother and the child, which will determine the grant of citizenship for the child, right? So can get in this sense, this Amendment Act first greater responsibility on women. He or she can get the citizenship by naturalized. Further, it supports punitive action against the mother if the father is found dangerous. Right? Is being placed on the mother now, which will determine the grant of citizenship for the. Now there is definitely an unarticulated in this sense that has Nepalese men. Right? So we have seen that many Nepalese men, particularly from the Tarai region, the foothills, they continue to marry women from the northern India if the father is, and in this sense, the Nepalese identity would be determined. Now, there is also a BT Ruti issue, right? BT Ruti issue where Nepalese men marrying Indian women. Many women could not become citizens of Nepal as they were subject to the infamous 7-year cooling off period if they could apply for the citizenship in Nepal. Right? So, in all the articles under Citizenship Amendment of 2006, be it Article 11 2b or 11 Clause 5, the mother should always be Nepali citizen, right? Even in 11 Clause 7, right? But we have seen that many Nepalese men, especially in the Tarai region, continue to marry women from northern India. And this is called as Beti Ruti issue, right? Where many women could not become citizens of Nepal as they were subject to the infamous 7-year cooling off period before they could apply for citizenship in Nepal, right? So there was a 7-year cooling off period, right? And as such, women were stateless. Children of such families were also often found to be without Nepalese citizenship. However, the new amendments have done away with the cooling off period for these stateless women, right? So the cooling off period of 7 years has been done away by the new amendments, and this in turn will benefit the children of such families where the mother and children remain stateless for years, right? So the 7 year cooling off period before which, the such mothers who are not from Nepal, can apply for citizenship in Nepal. Such cooling off period has been, done away with by the Nepalese new Citizenship Amendment Act 2006. Right. Now, the Communist Party of Nepal, unified Marxist Leninists, wanted to retain the cooling off period, while the ruling Nepali Congress and in fact, the Maoist party of Pushpa Kamal Dahal Prachanda supported the removal of the cooling off period. Right. And it is understood that the Prime Minister of Nepal, Sher Bahadur Deuba, will go to the upcoming polls with the act as the achievement of his government, despite opposition from President Bhandari, who took charge during the prime ministerial tenure of KPS Oli. Right. Now, despite support from the Madheshi parties, you know, uh, the inter-ethnic nature of the citizenship dispute has come to the surface because of the controversy triggered by President Bhandari's rejection, right? So President Vidya Devi Bhandari has sent back the Citizenship Amendment Act 2006 to Pratinidhi Sabha, and so this has resulted into, you know, uh, has triggered the controversies, right? In fact, there is also a pressure group called as Nepal Citizenship Less Struggle Committee, which has held a protest in Kathmandu demanding that the president should ratify the act that was passed again by the Pratidhi Sabha for the second time. They argue that women of Indian origin who were deprived of rights because of the cooling off period of 7 years and bureaucratic procrastination, and their children will be stuck in a stateless condition if the act is not recognized by the president's office, right? So if the act is not recognized or ratified by the president, Vidya Devi Bhandari, then many women and children will remain in stateless condition, right? Especially the women of Indian origin, right? However, Communist Party of Nepal wanted to retain the cooling off period, while the Nepali Congress and the Maoist Party of Pushpa Kumar Prachanda supported the removal of the cooling off period, right? So all about the this article. I hope it is clear. Moving to the next news article on the screen, where students, Somalia, which is located at the western, coastal area of Africa, also called as the Horn of Africa, right, has seen recently a terror attack. Right. My bad. It is the eastern part of the Africa, the Horn of Africa. Now, Somalia, which has seen a peaceful transition of power, after the delayed but successful completion of legislative and presidential elections, has recently, seen a terror attack in its capital, Mogadishu, right? And this attack was committed on Friday, and at least 20 people are being, reported to have been killed in this grave terrorist attack, right? And the new administration of President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed. Now they may ask question that who is the new president of Somalia? So it is Hassan Sheikh Mohammed, and in fact, the new administration has to has to face has to come up with the policies to defeat such violent extremism, right? So Somalia, which is and a coastal country in Africa, or located in the Horn of Africa, has seen a terror attack, and it's in its capital Mogadishu, right? Now, it's being it's being alleged that it is Al Qaeda affiliated terror outfit called Al Shabaab who is behind these terror attacks. And in fact, according to a report of 2020, uh, you know, this terror organization Al Shabaab collects more revenue than the government, right? So you can imagine, when a terrorist organization is generating more revenue than the government, right? What would be the state of the country, right? So therefore, government in Somalia is undergoing. I mean, the country Somalia as a country is undergoing humanitarian crisis, and in fact, it is seen as one of the biggest failures of international counter-terror operations, right? Because there were civil conflicts in Somalia, and they can be traced back to the dictatorship of General Siad Barre, right? So Siad Barre's regime collapsed in the year 1991, and the country fell into a civil war and chaos with different clan-based armed groups fighting one another. Right. So, as I said, that the dictatorship regime of General Siad Barre collapsed in the year 1991, and the country fell into a civil war or slipped into civil war with different clan-based armed groups fighting one another. Right. So part of the problem is that the government's writ does not run in regions beyond the capital. Right. So government do not have its writ, its writ jurisdiction, its direction powers running beyond the capital. Right. So in this sense, the country is witnessing a massive humanitarian crisis, right? And it is being, added by a severe drought, right? So there is a poor economic state, and the state institutions remain fragile and dependent on the mercy of international donors, right? So there is a huge comprehensive security crisis which has to be resolved sooner than later, right? With state building and counter-terror operations, right? So many takeaways from this article. I hope it is clear. Moving to the next news article on the screen. In Kansas, in America, a referendum took place over the overturning of Roe versus Wade by the SCOTUS, or the Supreme Court of United States, on June 24, 2022. We all know, students, that Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court overturned the Roe versus Wade decision because Roe versus Wade was, to give abortion rights to the women of Australia. But then this right of abortion was being overturned by the apex court in America on June 24, 2022. Right. Now, against this, a referendum, took place at Kansas. Now, we must understand that Kansas is a red state. The red state means it is uh, it is a stronghold of Republican Party, and in fact, in the referendum, people voted in favor of abortion rights. Now, this is you know, very a red alert to the Republic Party, because the Republic Party is fighting against the abortion rights. So they are not in favor of the abortion rights. And this referendum in the stronghold of Republican Party, that is Kansas, which is also called as a red state, because of the Republican stronghold, the people passed the referendum and they voted for the abortion rights. Right. So in this sense, so the Republicans have actually, and because the midterm elections are due, and in fact, the Republicans, in the view of Democrats, are out to tear the social fabric of America. Right. Now we know that the popularity of the incumbent president Joe Biden is also nosediving, and the grand old party, the Democratic Party, is running amok in the HOR, House of Representatives, which is the lower house of American Congress, and even edging Democrats out of their razor thin majority in the Senate. Right. In fact, the grand old party is the name for the Republican Party, and it has a razor thin majority in the Senate. Right. The Republicans need only one seat in order to turn the tables. Now, the Republicans, I mean, in fact, there was a survey where it was been found that 50% prefer Democrats to be in control of the Congress as opposed to 43% in favor of Republicans, right? Now, more importantly, the Kansas vote was over a single issue. While on November 8th, well, when the country would be undergoing the midterm elections, the voters will choose between individuals with a track record on multiple issues. Right? So we'll see how the November 8 elections to primaries would fare, and where the voters will choose between individuals with a track record of on multiple issues. Right? So this article, on Roe versus Wade decision and the referendum can be read about. Moving to the next news article on the screen. Now, Singapore will be repealing the law against gay sex. Now, the gay sex was a colonial era law, and it was being inserted by the Britishers under Section 377 A of the Singapore's Penal Code, or SPC, right? So, as we have Indian Penal Code, right? a British colonial law. Similarly, Singapore's penal code was being framed by the British authorities because Singapore was also a British colony, right? Section 377A of SPC penalized sex between men with up to 2 years in jail, right? So same-sex, was being penalized. That means gay sex was being penalized up to 2 years in jail, right? But now the society is progressive. Singapore government, headed by Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, has announced that the country will repeal a draconian colonial era law criminalizing these acts. So they would, in fact, so in this sense, they would decriminalize the these acts. Right? But at the same time, the Prime Minister of Singapore, Lee Hsien Loong, maintained that the government will continue to uphold marriage as, as something between men and women, right? So that means under the law, only marriages between one man and a women are recognized in Singapore, right? But definitely they would decriminalize sex between men or gay sex, right? By repealing Section 377A, right? So they may ask you in the exam that which country has recently in the process of repealing law against gay sex or decriminalizing sex between men or decriminalizing gay sex, so it is Singapore. The Prime Minister is Lee Hsien Loong. However, they have said that the marriage as an institution is always between men and women, and they would it is under the law, recognized under the law, and in fact, it would continue, right? So they said that the repeal of the Section 377A stops short of full marriage equality. Right. So this is all about this article, an important one, and a question may be asked on this. Right. So that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the session. Press the bell icon for the regular updates. Do like, comment, and share. And do post your questions on the comment box. We will be more than happy to answer all your questions and queries. Wish you all the best. See you in the next class. Good day. God bless you.